I know that this is a very late TBR video, but like they say, better late than never, right? So today I'm going to be sharing the books that I'm currently reading and the books that I plan to read in the month of November. So let's get started. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Rachel here. As always, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you're not new, welcome back. I've missed you guys. I'm always excited to be back whenever I take a break, whether planned or unplanned. And I don't know whether this one was planned or unplanned, but anyway, I'm happy to be back with you guys and creating content on books and whatever else I feel like creating content on. If you like my content and you really like the content that I put out on YouTube and you've been following me for a while and you want to support my creative journey, you can click the link in my description box to support me on my creative journey. Now let's get into today's video. I'm going to be talking about the books that I'm currently reading and the books that I plan to read in the month of November. I've been trying so hard to put out TBR videos, maybe so that I can go back to watch and see what books I've said I'm going to read and sort of keep to track rather than always going off the rail every single time. It just always helps me with my organization and whatever I'm trying to do. So let me know in the comments if you guys actually keep TBRs, that's to be read, so like a list of books that you want to read at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the quarter, and if you actually keep to those TBRs so that I know that I'm not alone, please. And if you keep to the TBRs, let me know in the comments as well how you do that. But I find that it usually helps me with my organization and not having to choose a book that I want to read next because I know what I'm going to read next. So I do this at the beginning of every month. So I know that November is typically non-fiction November in book world or booktube world, bookstagram world, book talk, whatever. But I mean, when have I ever really been known to keep to any of these rules? So this month, as much as I love non-fiction, I'm going to be mixing it up with fiction because I've missed reading a lot of nice fiction and I'm excited for that. Let's start with the books that I'm currently reading. At the moment, I am reading Escape by Margaret Adetimehin. This book was sent to me by the author and it's a twin bliss resort novel, Escape. I think it's like a romance novel. It's fiction and I'm super excited to get into it because it seems like one of these spicy, sweet kind of books and it doesn't seem like it's too long and I love the way the font is looking. So I just started it and I'm excited to get into it. It's actually part of my November reads. Maybe I've gone like the first few chapters in. So this is what I'm currently reading. I'm going to read out the synopsis for you guys so that you guys can see what it's about. An escape from reality becomes so real. When her work husband chooses someone else, Lola, the brand guru, finds herself heading to the exotic Twin Bliss Resort to lick her wounds. Arriving at the tropical resort and seeing all it has to offer, luxury, fun, and the added bonus of handsome rich men, she changes her plan. Recoiling from his fiance's betrayal, Onahi buries himself into trying to resolve the conflict of interest brewing at the Twin Bliss Resort boardroom, and to complicate matters, its sacred grounds. It threatens the ideal. A chance encounter brings Onahi and Lola together as he tries to unravel the puzzle of why a stranger is occupying a villa reserved for his old friend. Sparks fly and they both get more than they bargained for. Yeah, so I'll let you guys know how this one goes. It seems very spicy and sweet and interesting. At the moment, I'm also listening to Dial A for Aunties. It's an audiobook on Scribd. I mean, I think it's a hard copy book too, but I'm listening to the audiobook version of it and I'm totally loving it. It's very hilarious, you guys. Like, I'm going to read out the synopsis so that you know what it's about. So when Medi-chan accidentally kills her blind date, she turns to her aunties for help. Their meddling set her up on the date, so they kind of owe her. Well, that didn't quite go to plan. Although hiding this goddamn dead body is going to be harder than they thought, especially when her family's wedding business has the biggest wedding of the year happening right now. It's pretty bad timing, really. It turns out the wedding venue just happens to be managed by Medi's ex, aka the one who got away. It's the worst time to see him again, or is it? Can Medi finally find love and make her overbearing family happy? So it's so funny, and why I love it is because the narrator, I think she's Asian too, and there's like this Asian mix of, I think, Chinese, Mandarin. There's so much going on there, and even their accents are heavily on that. And I love the way that the English is not perfect. The English that is spoken is not perfect because English is obviously not their first language, but there's so many humorous parts of it. I find myself listening to it and laughing, and I can't wait to see what actually happens at the end. Like, this girl literally goes on a blind date, and funny enough, okay, I'm just going to give a little spoiler, right? She goes on a blind date, and so it seems like she kills the guy because they have an accident, but she actually doesn't kill the guy. The guy's actually still awake, but then they try to keep his body somewhere, and then they later find out that he actually didn't die when they thought he died. So it's just really funny, and the way the aunties just react, like, yeah, I mean, whatever, we'll put the body somewhere. It's just been a funny ride for me, so I'm really enjoying that one, and I can't wait to finish it. I'll share it with you guys when I'm done. Next up in November, I'm going to be reading Verity of Old by Zoe. I was actually sent this book by the author a while ago, and now I'm settled and I'm going to read it. I read the first part, Memory of Stone, and I really loved it, and this is the second installment of the Memory of Stone series. Nyx has finally begun to find her place as Dalferia, but when Cicely stumbles into her life with a piece of information Nyx needs, everything changes. Now Nyx, a wanted criminal, must return to the place she was held captive and tortured and attempt another daring rescue. But when the eradication of magic wielders becomes blatant and a missing detail of her past comes to light, the stakes are suddenly raised. Laurence Blade has been locked up and stripped of his title and name. Now, as just Egan, all he has is the hope of Cicely's survival. When a second chance at life is presented to him, he has the means to protect the ones he cares for if he is willing to don a new identity. This is the second book in the Memory of Stone fantasy series by Zoe. Zoe is a Nigerian writer who is doing amazing things in the fantasy genre, so you guys should check her out. I'm really excited to read this one, and I'll let you know how it goes. Also, I'm looking forward to finally reading, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, you guys, but I mean, The Shadow King by Maza Mengis. You guys, I've had this book on my shelf. I think it's probably up to a year now or something like that, or maybe close to a year. I can't even remember. And I've been like, you know, as book lovers, when we say a new book comes out and you're like, oh my goodness, I must get this book, I must get this book. If I don't get this book, I will die. And then I'm ready to starve just so I can get this book. Then you finally get the book and you're like, excited to get this book, really excited. I'm excited. I can't wait to read. I'll let you guys know how about it. Then the book is there sitting on your shelf for like 1 year after, and the book is like, yeah, I see you. And that's the perfect example of this book right here, you guys. This book has been on my shelf since like forever. I'm so in love with the cover, I'm in love with the colors, I'm in love with everything. What was I not in love with? I've not still read this book. I don't know, maybe it's because it was this big, and I just felt like with work and everything, I might not be able to get into it in a way that I would really like, but well, I'm getting into it now, so I'm super excited about this one. The book actually deserves a review at this point because of how long I have kept it on my shelf, so I'm going to do a review afterwards to let you guys know. Hopefully I'll read this book in November and it won't be on my shelf again for another 1 year. So I'm going to read out the synopsis of the book. With the threat of Mussolini's army looming, recently orphaned Hirut struggles to adapt to her new life as a maid. Her new employer, Kidane, an officer in Emperor Haile Selassie's army, rushes to mobilize his strongest men before the Italians invade. Hirut and the other women long to do more than care for the wounded and bury the dead. When the emperor goes into exile and Ethiopia quickly loses hope, it is Hirut who offers a plan to maintain morale. She helps disguise a gentle peasant as the emperor and soon becomes his guard, inspiring other women to take up arms. But how could she have predicted her own personal war still to come as a prisoner of one of Italy's most vicious officers? The Shadow King is a gorgeously crafted and unputdownable exploration of female power and what it means to be a woman at war. Yeah, now I remember why I was eager to read this, you guys. I hope it doesn't just take another year, but I'm excited. Let me know in the comments if you've read The Shadow King as well and how good it was for you, or what your reading experience was like. Maybe that would seriously encourage me. Next up in November, I'm reading Think Again by Adam Grant. This is a book that we selected as our book of the month at the Readers Hub. We're reading non-fiction this November. I've heard that Adam Grant really writes well, and he has an amazing way of expressing his thoughts and things like that. So this is non-fiction, and I'm going to read out the synopsis of this book. Discover the critical art of rethinking, how questioning your opinions can position you for excellence at work and wisdom in life. Intelligence is usually seen as the ability to think and learn, but in a rapidly changing world, the most crucial skill may be the ability to rethink and unlearn. Recent global and political changes have forced many of us to reevaluate our opinions and decisions. Adam Grant offers bold ideas and rigorous evidence to show how we can embrace the joy of being wrong, encourage others to rethink topics as wide-ranging as abortion and climate change, and build schools, workplaces, and communities of lifelong learners. You'll learn how an international debate champion wins arguments, a black musician persuades white supremacists to abandon hate, and how a vaccine whisperer convinces anti-vaxxers to immunize their children. Think Again is an invitation to let go of stale opinions and prize mental flexibility, humility, and curiosity over foolish consistency. If knowledge is power, knowing what you don't know is wisdom. So yeah, guys, that's it. Think Again by Adam Grant. I'm super excited to read and discuss this with members of the book club at our December meeting. Finally, in the month of November, I'm going to be reading The First Woman by Jennifer Nansumbuga Makumbi. This is another book that has been sitting on my shelf since forever. I am super excited to finally read this book, you guys. Yeah, I know. It's the same as Shadow King. They're in the same category. I got this book. I was super excited. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna read it. And then now, just look at me. So let me read the synopsis of this book. For one young girl, discovering what it means to become a woman in a family, a community, and a country determined to silence her will take all the courage she has. Growing up in a small Ugandan village, Kirabo is surrounded by powerful women. Her grandmother, her aunts, her friends, and cousins are all desperate for her to conform, but Kirabo is inquisitive, headstrong, and determined. Up until now, she has been perfectly content with her life at the heart of this prosperous extended family. But as she enters into her teenage years, she begins to feel the absence of the mother she has never known. The First Woman follows Kirabo on her journey to becoming a young woman and finding her place in the world as her country is transformed by the bloody dictatorship of Idi Amin. Jennifer Makumbi has written a sweeping tale of longing and rebellion, at once epic and deeply personal, steeped in an intoxicating mix of ancient Ugandan folklore and modern feminism that will linger in the memory long after the final page. It's another one that I also cannot wait to read, you guys. So yes, this is it. Lastly, in the month of November, I want to listen to the audiobook of My Dark Vanessa. I think the Indulgent Bibliophile Book Club picked it as their book of the month for November. So if I'm able to meet up, I would love to join their book chat and book club meet for the month of November. So let me read out what I've not read the synopsis before. So as I'm reading it out, I'm actually just reading it for the first time. So I don't really know what the book is about, but I've seen some great reviews and I've seen some people say like the book is really dark and all of that. So I don't know what I'm going to get into, but let's see what the synopsis is about. Exploring the psychological dynamics of the relationships between a precocious yet naive teenage girl and her magnetic and manipulative teacher, a brilliant, all-consuming read that marks the explosive debut of an extraordinary new writer. 2000. Bright, ambitious, and yearning for adulthood, 15-year-old Vanessa Y becomes entangled in an affair with Jacob Strain, her magnetic and guileful 42-year-old English teacher. 2017. Amid the rising wave of allegations against powerful men, a reckoning is coming due. Strain has been accused of sexual abuse by a former student who reaches out to Vanessa, and now Vanessa suddenly finds herself facing an impossible choice. Remain silent, firm in the belief that her teenage self willingly engaged in this relationship, or redefine herself and the events of her past. But how can Vanessa reject her first love, the man who fundamentally transformed her and has been a persistent presence in her life? Is it possible that the man she loved as a teenager and who professed to worship only her may be far different from what she has always believed? Alternative between Vanessa's present and her past, My Dark Vanessa juxtaposes memory and trauma with the breathless excitement of a teenage girl discovering the power her own body can wield. Thought-provoking and impossible to put down, this is a masterful portrayal of troubled adolescence and its repercussions that raises vital questions about agency, consent, complicity, and victimhood. Woo! You guys, that is That seems like that seems like a lot. That seems like a handful. I'm actually excited to listen to that, to actually listen to people discuss this book. So I think this is one book that I'm going to do an independent review on. So actually look out for that, you guys. If you've read it or you've listened to the audiobook, please let me know in the comments as well. Even The First Woman, I'm sure a lot of you guys have read it. Please let me know in the comments if you've read it and how good it was for you. So yeah, these are the books that I plan to read and listen to in the month of November. You guys, I had a goal to read 70 books in 2021, but as life will happen, I'm literally on like 40 something now. I think when I read these books, I'm going to be 40 something, so I'm like at least 20 something books behind, but I'm having a good time reading. I still have to do some of my wrap-ups to show you guys what I've read so far month by month, and I will do that and release those videos soon. So let me know what you're currently reading. Let me know what you plan to read in the month of November. Hopefully I get some interesting titles from you guys. Leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.